Yo guys, it's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another vlog back at Boston Billiard. There's a lot of tables running, some high hand promos going on, so I think we'll hop into the 1-3, maybe the 2-5. We'll figure it out, but short intro. Let's get into the action. 1-3 time back at Boston Billiard, and this first hand here, pocket kings on the hijack, and there's a button straddle. Small blind who's first to act opens up the action to $15. The big blind makes the call, and onto me, seeing this action in a straddled pot is just beautiful. We put in that 3-bet in position to 60. Action folds back to the small blind player, and he decides on a call for 45 more. Big blind gets out of the way, and now we're heads up to a flop. The flop is deuce, 3, 6, rainbow. All things considered, it's a pretty brick board for both of us. Unless this player is going to be opening pocket deuces, 3s, or 6s in the small blind, then defending a 3-bet, we should definitely be ahead here. So I put in a C-bet to $45, and great news. He check raises now to $150. I started my stack with a little over $500, and given this action, he can have a lot of overpairs that are under pocket kings right now, so easily can be good, and given how short we are starting off with, given this raise, we're just going to have to rip it all in. So I decided to rip it all in for about $311 over his $150 bet, expecting all overpairs to make the call here and stack off from pocket 7s up to pocket queens, hopefully. But when action's onto him facing this jam, he thinks for a little bit, but ends up making the call. We've got to be good here. Let's hope to hold. Let's go to a run out. The run out looks clean. I show my hand, and we're going to scoop this pot up. First hand of the day, doubling up, winning a massive pot. The very next hand we look down at after that, still trying to stack up my chips, I have ace-9 of spades under the gun. I open this up to $12, and we get the button to make the call, and little did you know, this is the same player that we stacked last time. So back-to-back hands, let's try to play another big one. The flop comes 9, 8, deuce, rainbow, and when we flop top, pretty much good enough for our hand to c-bet for value, so I bet $15. He decides on a call. The turn now is the Jack of Spades, so really interesting card as we do improve to our nut flush draw. Another card over our pair, which obviously isn't ideal, so I decided to slow down and check here given that we are out of position. Now he throws out a bet of $50, and this is really, really large. Putting in the overbet doesn't make too much sense, and this player has about $120-ish behind. Now, I know I'm never going to be folding here given the really good turn card, and it's a decision of calling or ripping it all in. And given how he's fairly short, I think we're just going to have to rip it all in here and commit stacks. We want to make our lives easy as playing rivers out of position first to act and low SPRs can get really weird. So I rip it all in and he snaps it off. So not a good sign when he snap calls our jam, but we're off to a river, which is a king. Unimproved, I just show my pair of 9s, not expecting to be good, and no surprise here, we're not good, but looks like he sucked out with Queen 10 offsuit going runner straight, so he doubles me up, then it's only fair that I double him up the hand right after. This next hand picking up ace-9 offsuit in this case, in the cutoff, and there's an under the gun limp. I am going to raise this up and isolate to $15. The limper makes the call. The flop is 9, 8, 5, 2 hearts, and once again, flopping top with ace-9. I put in a c-bet of $20, and $20 is good enough of a price for him. He makes the call. The turn now comes an ace. He checks for a second time, and now with top 2 pair, we're going to size down just a little bit and go for value. Not sure what hands we can get called by, so I just bet $35. 35, once again, good enough of a price. He makes the call. The river is a 6. This is pretty gross of a river, and now he checks for a third time. Not sure really what to do here. I think obviously checking back is fine, but with a 4-liner out there and sitting with top 2 pair, I am going to go for very thin value. I think it's very exploitable to do so at the smaller stakes. So I bet really small once again for only $30. And now we face an unfortunate line in action. He now puts in a check raise to $105, and I'm feeling pretty gross about this spot. Looks like we're getting punished for trying to go for very thin value here on this river. And I don't think this is a player to really bluff in this situation. So after thinking things over, I am certainly at the top of my range, but given the action, I think we're going to have to let this one go and fold. My line can be very exploitable, bet folding here when going for thin value, but at the lower stakes, I don't think it matters as much. There's a common theme in this video, it seems like. Another hand with ace-9, this time in the hearts variety. We're in the small blind and there's a button straddle, so we are first to act pre-flop. I open up the action to $20 here with a very playable ace, and only the cutoff makes the call. So heads up again, the flop comes Jack, Jack 4, and sitting with ace high on these neutral board textures, always going to c-bet, and we're going to size small on this one to $15. I think we can get folds from a lot of nothings, and the sizing doesn't matter too much. Well, $15 was a good price for him. He makes the call. The turn now comes another jack. So 3 jacks on the board, and I'm not sure what to do here in this spot with ace high. Certainly can check, but I think we can protect it sometimes and go for really thin value. Maybe he was calling with like king 10 offsuit or king queen. Not entirely sure, but we can protect it. I fire again, really small bet of just $25. And now he puts in the jam. Rips it all in for $500 effective, and yeah, ace-9 of hearts is going to be out of here. I let this one go, and he shows us queen jack for quads. He ripped it all in because he wanted his queen kicker to hold, as there is a $400 high hand as his kicker does play. At the end of the hour, his quad jacks and the queen kicker did end up holding up, so he did win the $400 for the high hand bonus. Looks like it was our turn to run into quads this time. What a donkey to bet into him twice. Following that hand, we don't pick up ace-9 this time. Nice change of pace with king-queen off on the button. There are 3 limpers to me, and here in position, obviously a good hand to raise it up. So I size to 20. We get the big blind to make the call, and so does the under the gun limper. 3 ways to a flop, which comes ace, jack, 5. When action checks to me, ace high boards, obviously we are definitely going to love c-betting this one, but I decide to slow down here given that we're multi-way. You gotta mix it up sometimes and can't c-bet every single flop. I check back, see a free turn. The turn comes a 4. Once again, both players check to me, and given the action now, I guess we're just going to check it back. Not entirely sure, but we've already taken this line of checking on the flop. It doesn't make too much sense to now bet on this turn. So another free river comes the Bink 10. We love that, hitting Broadway and the nuts. Now for a third time, action checks to me, and we're going to have to bet this one, so I decide to size up to $50. The big blind thinks about it and ends up making the call. Under the gun player folds, and we show our nuts and take this pot down. Alrighty, this hand gets a little interesting and fun, so let's get into it. Jack 10 of spades and the big blind. +1 opens the $15. Button makes the call, small blind makes the call, and so far it's been about an hour or two since we've last played a hand. I've been card dead. Let's 3-bet this one out of position, as it's very fun to do. I 3-bet to $90, and the +1 player who opened to 15 snap calls this 90. Really interesting action, so we're going to be on the lookout and be cautious here. And now action onto the button, who also makes the call. I perceive him to be a fairly tight player, so it seems like the button has a narrow range, and I have no idea what the +1 player can have snap calling a 3-bet. But 3 ways to a flop out of position. The flop comes 10-3 deuce rainbow. Well, sitting with top pair, it's a mix of 2 things. One, I think top pair is okay, but given the dynamics of the table, it seems like I'm just semi-bluffing here when I bet out with top pair, but I have pretty good equity, and even if I'm behind the button's very tight range, I think we can sometimes suck out or navigate turns and rivers. So given that, I c-bet for a sizing of $115. The +1 player thinks about it and ends up making the fold. Now onto the real villain here, the button, who I think has a pretty tight range, and he thinks about it for a little bit, and a little bit turns into a lot of bit. I cannot make this up. I have all the footage. The button tanks for literally 7 whole minutes. Unfortunately, here at Boston Billiard, you can't call the floors, so yeah, not only did myself have to sit through this, so did all the other players at the table, since we can't call the clock on him. But during his 7-minute tank, I have a lot of time to think about my action. I have $325 behind if he does make the call for $115, and I think I might have to jam to any ace, king, jack, or 10 turn for value / bluffs. But he looks at the high hand counter for some reason, and I'm not entirely sure why he would do that. Does he have a set? He doesn't have top set, that's for sure. After 7 full minutes of tanking and the rest of the table coercing him to either make a decision, I personally didn't care what the decision was at the end of the day. I just wanted him to do something. He ended up ripping it all in, and he covers me. And obviously with Jack 10, we snap fold against this kind of action. I'm not really sure what in the world he was thinking about. Did he really ever have that one last combo of pocket tens? Because I think pocket threes or pocket deuces seemed very unlikely from this player. But who the hell knows? Sometimes when you play enough poker, you run into people who tank for 7 full minutes. That's a first in my book. After that ridiculous hand with Jack 10, we are back to being card dead for a while. Finally, we look down at pocket jacks, and I open it up to $12 here. And we pick up the blinds, so that's a plus of $4, but after quite some time of being card dead, still back to being card dead. So when we're card dead, we get bored. And when we get bored, we decide to put the straddle on the button, and when there are 4 limpers to me, I look down at 3-6 offsuit. What a premium. Can you tell I'm bored? Because I raise it up to $40. Well, action folds around and back to the tightest player at the table who limped. He makes the call. Seems like he limps absolutely every single hand and calls raises pre-flop, but he covers us, and let's go to a flop heads up. The flop, I can't make this up, guys. It's 7, 5, 4, 2 spades. How the hell do we do that? Well, we get rewarded by being bored and raising this trash hand, and it's definitely time to go for value when he checks to us. So I throw out a bet of $50, hoping he connected, hoping he has an overpair, but sadly he folds. But I know you guys won't believe this flop, so I had to show it to you guys on the vlog. We raise 3-6 offsuit like a donkey and flop the second nuts. Next, this one is actually a legitimate hand, pocket 8s in the cutoff. There are 2 limpers to me, certainly going to be isolating the limpers, so I size to 20. Both limpers call, so 3 ways to a flop. The flop is Jack 3, 4, 2 spades, and action checks to me. With only 1 card over our pair, we are multi-way, but certainly still going to be c-betting. I can't be afraid of the Jack too often, so I bet $35. Only 1 of the limpers call. The turn now comes another Jack. All things considered, really good turn, as it's less likely this player is going to have a Jack. So when he checks to me, I certainly am just going to bet again for value. This time I size to $55, and good for us, he folds, so no need to navigate a river here, and certainly had the best hand. We take it down. Another real hand this time, not 3-6 offsuit, but ace-king offsuit. I open things up to $12 pre-flop, and action ensues on this 1-3 table. 3 players make the call around. 4 ways to a flop, which comes king, queen, deuce, 2 spades, and a heart. With top on this board texture, we're certainly going to be sizing up a little bit. I put in a c-bet to $35, and here we get the button to make the call, and so does the big blind. So pot is brewing, pot is building here, still multi-way. The turn comes the 9 of hearts. It's certainly not the most amazing card in the world, as Jack 10 can get there. Also some 2-pair combos like king 9 and queen 9. But when the big blind checks, we're certainly still going to continue firing here for value. But I size down and bet a little bit smaller to $40 here. I'm going to play this a little bit cautiously multi-way on a fairly connected turn. Once again, $40 seems like a good price for both of them, as both the button and big blind call again. So 3 ways back to the river. The river is the deuce of clubs. It is an absolute total brick and changes nothing on this board. With this holding here, when the big blind checks to me, I feel like we just have to go for 3 streets of value. We're pretty much just targeting hands like ace queen, sometimes king jack, king 10. Certainly a few hands we beat with our 1 pair holding, so I once again bet a very small amount of just $60 here in this spot, trying to get value from 1 pair like I said, and surprisingly, both players tank and think about it for a while, but when the button tank folds onto the big blind, who also, once again, tank folds, we're happy to take this pot down, happy to win a few hands in a row to crawl back to even at this point. So after winning a few hands, still back to being card dead, we're getting bored again. So when the under the gun player to my right puts in the straddle for $5, I am going to put in the $10 blind raise, because why the hell not? Anyways, action folds to the small blind player, who decides on a call of $10. The under the gun player calls $10 as well, and we are going to look at our cards and go to a flop. We look down at 5 deuce offsuit, so what an absolute premium here. The flop comes king 6 5 2 hearts now, and surprisingly both players check to me. Given that we do have a pair, I'm expecting any pair to bet on this flop here before me, so assuming our hand just might be good, I throw out a bet of $15. Both players fold. Easy money here. Our premium of 5 deuce off holds. Whew, well, we got out of that one. Just wrapped up the session. We played for maybe about 4.5 hours, and another one of those grindy ones where we didn't really pick up too many big hands besides the first hand that we played. That was nice to double up, but then from there, just like hit a big time lull until like the last hour or so. We started picking up a few hands and winning them. So yeah, that first hand was a great start, but unfortunately didn't run amazing after that. But we were in the game for a total of $810. We were out of the game for $905, so somehow found a way to crawl out of the hole and into profit land, and we're racking up, you know, locking in our profits here. But be on the lookout for the next few videos because we're traveling down to Maryland, playing at Maryland Live for the whole weekend, so you might see 3 or more videos from there. Hoping to mix it up. It seems like they have a ton of tables running, so they should have a lot more 2-5, 5-10 selection, and they should be good ones. So hopefully we'll try to play a little bit bigger, 2-5, 5-10, more 5-10 if, you know, the game's good. We'll see how that looks like, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. You guys, the people sticking to the end are true OG people, because honestly, I don't think I stick to the end to most videos. But if you're here to the end, much appreciated. So that's all I got. All right, we're signing off. Peace.